Here's even more fun. We're going to delay your gratification even more by not showing you the tourbillon yet and telling you about something else. Because I love to tease. I'm a dirty, dirty tease. I'm excited for a lot of you on this. Larry and I were commenting on this last night. Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, make sure you're here because you're going to get a chance to buy blue and white diamonds for $245. I don't even know how that's possible. I think that's amazing. You're going to get 4 value pays. It's on a spotlight. I can almost guarantee you that this ring is going to sell out extraordinarily fast. Without any further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, it is Mr. Larry Magen, President of North American Operations for Stuhrling Original, the man himself right here that brought out the tourbillon, and here it is. Now, I would typically give you a whole thing about why a tourbillon is important. It was invented by Abraham Louis Breguet. It's meant to counteract the negative effects of gravity on the balance assembly of the movement, which is the regulatory process. We don't have time for any of that. One of these is already sold out. Which one?
The black.
I'm going to take the black off now. Very quickly, some important things you need to know. Under a 7.5 inch wrist ain't gonna happen. You need a bigger wrist, over 7.5 inches. There are removable sections in the mesh. You do not trim the mesh. You don't do anything weird with the mesh. There are, and we actually pop this one a little bit so you can see the pins, individual links, removable pins. That is how you size this. It is not a buckle. It is also not a deployant. It is a diver's flip-lock safety clasp. You have your pure mechanical movement in black IP. 28,800 vibrations per hour on this tourbillon with the animated AM, PM, and the GMTV 91454. Out of the 200 or so that we had, we now have a dozen. I'm sorry, we have 2 dozen, only in the blue. Larry, it's all you, baby.
Well, you know, Jim, first of all, this is very special, and I'm really glad we were able to at least get it to air tonight. But I think Abraham Louis Breguet may be rolling over in his grave tonight because to be able to, you know, offer a genuine tourbillon in the $1,000 price range is indeed special. And we're very proud because not only are we the same company that is bringing this to television, but Jim, you've seen our King's Court tourbillon, which, by the way, I want to point out at Basel is going on right now. At Basel, for the first time ever, Stuhrling Original is being featured in Grand Complications. Now, in the past,
very cool.
In the past, we've been featured, of course, in Watches International. But one step above, with the tourbillons and everything else, our King's Court tourbillon is featured in Grand Complications this year, and
that one you could buy on a healthy discount of about $25,000. I recently saw.
Correct, and so
discounted.
Now, of course, that one, of course, is handmade Swiss, and this one is not. However, for the value that you're getting, this one is the hottest one that's out there from the Far East because it's 28,800 vibrations, which comes down to 8 beats per second. As far as I know, I think it's the only one that is 28.8. There may be another one out there that I'm not aware of, but this really is the top of the line from that part of the world. It's from the best watchmakers that come from that part of the world. And, of course, with our partner, George J. von Berg, overseeing all of the manufacturing aspects to it. This is...
because you have a team of Swiss masters that are on staff overseeing all production. This is not... I want to make this very, very clear.
Right.
Can you go out and buy an all-Chinese-made watch with a Chinese, like a Seagull tourbillon, for less? Absolutely. Will you get this level of detail in the case, in the dial, or in the bracelet? Absolutely not. That'll be made in a Chinese back room somewhere in a little factory, not overseen by a Swiss team of watchmakers, like as we would see with Stuhrling. You would not get the warranty Stuhrling would offer you. So can we justify the $1,000 price point? You betcha. You got another choice. You can go buy a Swiss-made tourbillon. They now begin at about $45,000. Enjoy. There are about a dozen remaining of the blue. They will then all be sold out. Larry, once again, congratulations for bringing out one of the lowest prices I've ever seen on a tourbillon.
And by the way, we didn't mention, but it was a limited edition. They will get a certificate on that.
Yes.
So, anyway. That makes it a little special.
Again, we would have loved to spend like 8 minutes on that to give you all the information. We can't. They sell out too fast. There is another batch coming a couple months.
Well, on that one, we're maybe looking at August on that one.
That far out? Oh, my goodness.
On this one.
All right. Be on the lookout for a dressy version, the Imperial, next month. You and I will be airing that together.
Right.
As always, when it's a tourbillon, it's me and Larry. That's how we roll.
They're telling us we still have a couple left on that, Jim.
All right, handful remaining now on the tourbillon. Right now, we're going to go to the Legacy Classic. We brought this out last night, and I got to tell you, it's still one of those watches that you're going to love for a lifetime. What I mean by that, it's a classic, timeless design. No matter how long you own this watch, it will always be in style. Very quickly here, Larry will give you the millimeters. I will give you the inches.
Sure. This is a 48 millimeter, which, as I mentioned last night, this is breaking new ground for us to go with a dress piece from our classic collection to 48 millimeters, guys and gals.
Hey, guess what? It's just under 2 inches like every other watch that we air.
But again, mechanical automatic, small seconds at the 9 o'clock position, and it's new color choices for our Legacy.
I want to point out very clearly, this is not a quartz.
Right.
It's a fully decorated mechanical automatic. For those of you that may be newer to watch collecting and you haven't seen automatic movement yet, when you're going into an automatic, you're going into a much purer form of watchmaking. There is no little robots involved. There are no batteries. There are no quartz crystals inside. There's no little microchip. This is nothing but a series of inanimate objects, springs and gears, ruby jewels, and metal plates that an artisan has then crafted, hand-fitted, regulated, and breathed life into. And once they have taken this maybe 78 to 110 pieces and put together within this case, and they give it that final kiss, those inanimate objects then start to play out the symphony of time on your wrist, and done so accurately, 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour. And that is why mechanicals and automatics are the most collectible. Larry, let's take a quick phone call.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that?
Let's do it. I'd love to do it.
We're going to talk to Jim all the way out in Pennsylvania. How are you tonight, Jim?
Hello,
are you there,
Jim?
This would be your cue to talk.
Okay.
Oh,
I have several of your Stuhrlings, and I really like the skeletonization that you do. That's choice. But might I make a suggestion? And that is...
By all means.
Okay. What I'd like to see you do with your Stuhrling watches, your Invictas or whatever, rather than put the day-night dial on, make it a moon phase.
Well, we do offer many moon phases. It depends on the price point that you're trying to achieve. If I'm out here doing, $300, $400, $500 timepieces, we have moon phases from every major brand that we deal with. But when you're trying to do it for $118, $120, you know what?
A moon phase, we haven't done a genuine moon phase in an automatic probably in a couple of years. We've done a few in the past, but...
It was in the regulator, if last time I remember, one of the symphonies.
It might have been it might have been our Model 97. But here's the thing about that, Jim, is that stop and think about this. An AM/PM indicator makes one revolution every 24 hours. Genuine moon phase makes a full revolution every 57 days because you have a top half and a bottom half, which comes out to once every 28 and a half to show the full moon. So it's a little bit more complicated with the gear ratios to be able to do that, and that's why it's so much more expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand that, but I think you'd sell more with the moon phase than you would the day-night. My heavens, I can look out the window and see if it's day or night.
Well, we know this. That's a very good point.
I can look out the window and see what phase the moon is in. No. But I do understand your point.
Good point, and I think...
It's nice to have an exotic complication because you know what? We may not need a moon phase, but it's nice to go, hey, I've got a moon phase in my watch because it speaks to the level of achievement that brand has achieved at that point. So I'm right there with you, Jim.
And I am too. I think we're due for one. It would be nice to have an equation of time complication as well, Jim.
True, but you're talking even more money there. But Jim, any last comments before we let you go?
Well, you certainly are offering excellent watches at a much decent price, whether it be the Stuhrling or the Invicta or whatever else. I've always been satisfied with the products that I've gotten from you. And all I can say is, Jim, glad to see you back on the show again.
Well,
I missed you whenever you were out for your surgery.
Oh, thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate that. And I'm so glad to be back. And, hey, I've got more power behind my voice than I've ever had before, and I got to love that. You have yourself a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for the nice words.
All right.
Night.
Yes, it's amazing when you can breathe how much more you can do. All right. Is that it for Larry? No.
I'm not
Larry,
going away.
Will you come back next hour?
I'm not leaving you, Jim.
All right.
All right, Coach.
All right. We're going to see Larry again next hour, but it will not be with a tourbillon because they're sold out. Right? Am I right? Am I right? Tourbillon sold out? How many are left? We have about 10 in blue only. If you want it, there it is, V91454. Wow. It's actually kind of funny. Of all the things to highlight on this watch, we chose to highlight that it's made of 316L stainless steel. It's a tourbillon with the AM/PM indication, with the 24-hour indication, 52-millimeter case. Absolutely unbelievable. The very first sporty version of a tourbillon we've ever aired. I own this watch in the gunmetal. I got to tell you, it is really one of the coolest Renatos made, 46-millimeter wildebeest with the rose tone. And our man, Mr. Larry Magen, he's back, and he's coming at you live in 3D. Put on your 3D glasses.
Let's do it, Jim. What do we got?
All right, very quick update for you. The tourbillon, we are going to get a chance to show it again very briefly, but we don't have a lot.
I heard there was a few cancellations.
We've got about 20 now.
Okay.
So there you go.
Let's do it.
Blue only. So Larry's here, the Emperor's Grand Jour. This, if you go back a few years, the original Emperor, 40-millimeter, very classic, elegant, arguably one of the most elegant designs in the watch world. You have, well, you've man-sized it. You've upsized it into the Grand Jour. This is $166, but what I don't think people realize is this movement is extraordinarily special.
It really is, Jim, because it has two mainsprings, and you don't really see that a lot. Certainly, if you were talking about a Swiss mechanical automatic with two mainsprings.
With a double barrel, starting at about $7 or $8 grand.
Yeah, I was going to say probably 5 figures, but you probably know better than I do in that regard. But the point is this: you're not paying 7 or 8 grand. You have a 72-hour power reserve, double barrel mechanical automatic. It's a dual time zone piece. You can see it's got a sub-dial down there at 6 o'clock position. That actually is a secondary time zone. You've got an animated AM/PM over there at 9, but all the beautiful decorations here on the movement. You've got that vertical bridge at the 3 o'clock position. But again, the first thing that jumps out at you, Jim, is the crown is up at the 12 o'clock position. A throwback to the old days when they used to strap pocket watches to the wrist, and the crown was always, over at the 12 o'clock position. And it took a number of years before they figured out really that the crown was inhibiting the strap, and they moved it to the 3 o'clock position. And now that's pretty much all you see is the crown's over on the side of the case. But here it is. And like you say, Jim, you could say we man-sized it, but we went from 41 all the way up to 49. We didn't play around. We didn't have any steps at 44 and 46. We went up to 49 with this, and every time we bring it, it goes. And so I don't know where we are right now with the 3 executions, but we can't have too many left because we didn't bring that many.
We're mighty low. I want to give you some detail shots here, and from the back first. I want you to realize that you are dealing with 2 individual mainsprings. So you do have that double barrel configuration. I'm sorry, I had to get all these stands and random things off the set here. So as I'm winding the crown, you are watching 2 individual mainsprings wind up. A double barrel mechanical automatic is exotic. It's very, very expensive, but it gives you the luxury of a lot more power reserve. You'll notice also the movement is completely and fully decorated. You'll also notice it is partially skeletonized over at the balance assembly. The balance bridge or balance cock, whichever you want to call it, both are correct. This is absolutely gorgeous. Now, what I'd like to do is flip this over and show you how Stuhrling has integrated the beauty of the skeletonized and engraved movement into the bridge work. This would normally be what you would call a dial, but there's not enough there to really call it a dial. There is a tremendous amount of detail work done here, Larry. To see this at 166, in my personal opinion, in a dual time zone, with these complications, with this amount of detail, it is nearly criminal to see this price point.
Well, I agree, Jim. When we first saw this, we brought it out here, and you see that price up there, $186. It did sell at that price, and even that I thought was rather shocking, knowing the history of our Emperor. And this is a more expensive movement, this double barrel movement. We got an exclusive on this for 6 months before anybody else could even touch it. That was over a year ago when we put it in our Tempest. So I was quite shocked at 186. So needless to say, here at 166 is a fabulous opportunity. on this piece. It's absolutely one of our most dressy timepieces that we have, and it has become a rising star in our gallery, Jim.
I agree. Now, again, this is to simulate that look of when pocket watches were being converted by people over to wristwatches. What they would actually do is they would either add a T-bar or they would add a loop, put a strap on there, and then you have the stirrup over the crown at the 12 o'clock position, which, by the way, makes this watch ambidextrous. Rose tone, silver tone, or gold tone are your choices, and it's already time to move on. So quickly these go by, don't they?
Yeah, they really
Bada
do.
boom, bada boom, bada
Fabulous.
boom. B91307, there you go. 83 value pays 55.48. If you don't do it now, man, oh man, are you going to regret it. Right now, we're going to very quickly revisit the tourbillon while a handful remain. It is in the blue only. It's all black IP with the blue ionic finish. Oh, there are 19 now in the bezel and crown. Here we go. Special spotlight. Revelation. All right, my friends, here it is, V91454. And I know exactly the reason why we have those 16 or 17 cancellations. For those of you under a 7.5-inch wrist, I am warning you away. That's just the way that I am. I'd rather you get a product and always be 100% happy than just sell it and get it out the door and then you're not happy. It's a big watch. I have a 7 3/4-inch wrist. While you would be able to size it down by removing the individual links that are in the mesh, they are links. They can be removed. You've got to think about this. It's not a lot of curvature, and you could have a gap. Now here, even at 7 3/4 inches, almost starting to see a gap. I would wear this day in and day out, no problem. Any smaller than 7.5, though, yeah, issues. Now, beyond that, you are buying into a true mechanical timepiece that is a true tourbillon. Folks, that cyclone that you see there spinning at the 6 o'clock position, that is the balance, the regulatory process of your movement, what makes the watch accurate. Abraham Louis Breguet firmly believed that in order to make a movement more accurate was to counteract the negative effects of gravity. And he says, you know what, if I lay the watch in different positions, it may gain or lose time because of the gravitational pull on the hairspring in that balance. What do I do about that? He created a rotating cage, and that is what a tourbillon is. And that rotating cage, since it's always running, it's never sitting still. Gravity can't affect it in one direction for very long because it's always running. Now, we're not saying it's any more accurate.
Right. And
Breguet thought that. Nobody's been able to prove or disprove that. The reason you're buying it is because it is one of the most difficult to manufacture processes in all of horology. You are buying into what is the holy grail of complications.
Absolutely, and also just to expand a little bit on what Jim was saying, is that at that time that he was trying to counter-effect the effects of gravity, it was in pocket watches, which pretty much would stay in one position. This is not a pocket watch, obviously. This is a wristwatch, so it's really not about that at this point. It's really more about really the rarefied air and the collectability of watch enthusiasts to go after that much sought after. I mean, if you look at, as I was mentioning before, grand complications of all the top Swiss companies, they all have to throw their hat in the ring these days and have their own tourbillons.
You got to try.
All the big companies and so forth. And, here's your opportunity to own a limited edition. And regardless, even if it's not handmade, Swiss-made, the fact is that it still takes the finest craftsmen and technical watchmakers in China, really, that make this piece. And it's all under our supervision. And, our manufacturing partner, George J. von Berg, actually swings a lot of weight in that part of the world. And we were able to secure quite a number of these movements. And, Jim, by the way, this is the exact same movement that we had in the Imperial tourbillon. So we're very proud of this because this is really the elite movement that's coming out of that region. This is 28,800 vibrations. There really is nothing above this. Now we look at the case.
I want to show you the bracelet, too.
Right. And by the way, the bracelet is 4.5 millimeters thick, guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is a massive mesh bracelet and I have to keep pointing this out because you guys have done a different type of mesh before. These are individual links down here at the bottom section. The rest of it is not. And that is how you size the watch. Please keep that in mind. And then you also have micro adjustments, 3 of them, on the flip block clasp.
And, you know, we call this the revelation because, you know, apocalypse and revelation kind of go together anyway. But to take, you know,
Hand in hand, as I like to say.
hand in hand. But, you know, to take something that is traditionally thought of as a formal dress type of complication, like a tourbillon, into this kind of big industrial type of case. Some people might call it a sport case, but I would argue with that. But
Now, by the way,
my point is, it is a revelation, Jim.
it's a revelation.
It's a revelation.
I have a revelation for everybody at home. If for whatever reason you want to slap a different strap on there, you can remove this bracelet quite easily. There's a notch out behind the link. You pop out the spring bar. I don't know, you know
28.
what? I didn't bring my, thank you. 28 millimeter
I knew where you were
strap.
going, Jim.
If you buy a 28 millimeter strap or have one custom made, there you go.
But
Too bad my ruler tells things in inches.
you know, this rotation has been a lot about our apocalypse with the trifecta and everything, and I've been biting my tongue all day long to not really talk about this piece, you know, the apocalypse revelation. And I was so excited about the trifecta's new case size at 45, and I wanted to talk about the new revelation. This is a 52. We have 6 different case sizes now in our apocalypse, and I love this size. Now, yeah, you're right, Jim. It's large.
And it's in charge.
Yeah, it's large. But, you know, I see a lot of other timepieces here on ShopNBC that are right in this range.
And bigger.
And bigger. So, you know, I'd like to pop it on my wrist if I get a chance.
Absolutely. I'm going to hand it to you right now. By the way, it is a mechanical, so you do have to manually wind it. And when you feel the resistance on the crown, stop winding. You're done. You don't want to break your mainspring by trying to crank it down and overwind it. This is a hot watch. For those of you that own the Imperial tourbillon with the same movement, you're wearing that for elegant occasions. You're
Right, look
going,
at
man,
this.
I'm not dressed up enough, but I want to wear my tourbillon. Here's your everyday wear tourbillon. You can wear it with a suit, but this is your everyday wear tourbillon.
Well, and you know, Jim, I was just saying I would argue about, well, you know, sport and all that. Yeah, it looks sporty, okay, but this case design is one of the hottest designs out there in the industry, inspired by a very high-end Swiss brand, and they have tourbillons as well. And their tourbillon is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
all right, we got to go.
Okay, guys.
91454. We've got, what, a dozen or so? That's
Don't
it.
miss that, guys.
And that's it. They're
Lucky
going to be
few.
gone. Not going to be seen again, Larry says, estimates till probably around August on the remaining quantity of this numbered limited edition. Make
Am
sure
I
you're
out?
here for it.
I'm done. Jim, thank you very much. We'll see you later.
Oh, Larry's done? No, Larry, my friend, thank
Always
you
a
very
pleasure.
much.
We'll talk.
It's great. All right. Hey. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. Here's the 411. We're moving on. We had a Stuhrling last hour that was